My name is Mama Ijoma, and what I'm about to tell you is not a lie. I saw it with my 2 eyes. It happened in our village, Omoko, a quiet place where goats run free and everyone knows everybody's matter. There was a poor girl in our village called Amaka. She was just 19 years old. Her father, Papa Nana, was a palm wine tapper, and her mother sold roasted corn by the roadside. They were very poor, but they were good people. Amaka was very beautiful, her skin shone like fresh palm oil and her eyes sparkled like the morning sun after rain. But she didn't wear makeup or fancy clothes. She tied her wrapper, wore her rubber slippers, and fetched water from the stream every morning. Now, Amaka wanted to go to nursing school in the city. She had dreams. Big dreams. But her parents couldn't afford it. Instead, one morning, her father called her and said, "Amaka, your uncle from Lagos brought a man who wants to marry you." Amaka's heart beat fast. She shouted, "Papa, I don't want to marry anybody. I want to go to school." But Papa Nana was not listening. He said, "This man is hardworking and respectful. He will take care of you. Besides, we need the bride price to pay your younger brother's school fees." Amaka cried and cried. But in our village, when your parents say you will marry, you will marry. The next day, the man came. His name was Chinedu. He wore a torn shirt and old sandals. His trousers were patched in 3 places. He looked like someone who hadn't eaten good food in days. He carried a rusty bicycle and a black nylon bag. Everybody laughed when they saw him. One woman whispered to another, "Is this the husband?" Even Akara sellers dress better. But Amaka had no choice. She married Chinedu in a small traditional ceremony. No music. No dancing. Just fufu, palm wine, and tired faces. After the wedding, Chinedu took Amaka to a small mud house at the edge of the village. There was no electricity. The mattress was on the floor. The roof leaked when it rained. But every day, Chinedu would go out early and come back with food and money, small but enough. He treated Amaka like a queen. He would say, "My wife, you will not suffer in this life. I promise you." Amaka started falling in love with him. Even though he was poor, he was kind. He helped her wash her clothes, cook sometimes, and even plaited her hair once. She told herself, maybe money is not everything. But then, things started getting strange. One night, when Chinedu thought Amaka was sleeping, she saw him open a secret box under the bed. Inside was a shiny gold wristwatch, a new iPhone, and a bunch of keys with the letter BMW on it. Amaka blinked. Ahoy, how can a poor man have all this? She closed her eyes and pretended to sleep. The next morning, she asked him, "Where did you go yesterday night?" He smiled. "Just around." Another time, he left the house at midnight and returned before dawn. She followed him secretly once and saw him enter a black car waiting in the bush, with tinted windows and bodyguards. Bodyguards. Poor man ko. Amaka's head started turning. Who really was this man she married? Amaka couldn't shake off the strange feeling in her heart. Who was Chinedu really? As days passed, she watched him closely, trying to uncover his secrets. He was always calm, always smiling, but Amaka felt there was something he wasn't telling her. One afternoon, Amaka went to the market to sell some plantains. As she was setting up her stall, she overheard 2 women talking. "Did you hear about the man who owns half of Lagos?" one woman said. "Yes. They say he is a generous man. He gives money to the poor and helps the needy. But no one knows his face," the other woman replied. Amaka's ears perked up. Half of Lagos. The way they talked, it sounded like he was talking about Chinedu. She wondered, could her husband be that man? After selling her plantains, Amaka hurried home to find Chinedu. She found him sitting under the mango tree, reading a newspaper. Chinedu, she began nervously, do you know the man who owns half of Lagos? He looked up, surprised. Why do you ask? I heard some women talking about him. They said he helps the poor, she explained, her heart racing. Chinedu chuckled softly. There are many rich men in Lagos. Why would you think I know any of them? Amaka frowned, not convinced. But you have so many things hidden. The gold wristwatch, the iPhone, it doesn't add up. His smile faded for a moment. Those things. They are just gifts from friends, he said quickly, looking away. That night, Amaka couldn't sleep. She lay on the floor, tossing and turning, thinking about everything she had seen. Was he really just a poor man pretending to be someone else? Was he lying to her? The following day, she decided to take matters into her own hands. She would follow him again. That evening, as soon as he left the house, she quietly slipped out behind him, careful not to make any noise. Chinedu walked quickly, and Amaka had to keep her distance. He entered a part of the village she had never seen before, a place where the houses were bigger and the streets were cleaner. Amaka's heart raced as she wondered where he was going. Finally, he stopped in front of a big gate. It was a mansion, shining bright in the moonlight. Amaka hid behind a tree, her heart thumping loudly in her chest. Just then, she saw a group of men in suits approach Chinedu. They hugged him and treated him with respect, calling him Sir. Her heart dropped. Chinedu. Sir, she whispered to herself. Amaka watched in disbelief as they all walked into the mansion. She couldn't believe her eyes. Was this the same man who lived with her in the mud house? She had so many questions swirling in her mind. Suddenly, a voice interrupted her thoughts. What are you doing here? Amaka turned around to see Obinna, her childhood friend, standing there with a puzzled look on his face. Obinna. Shoo. He'll hear you, she hissed, pointing toward the gate. Who are you following? He asked, looking curious. Chinedu. I think he is hiding something big from me, she replied, her voice trembling. Obinna scratched his head. You mean that man? I heard he is very wealthy but chooses to live like a poor man. They say he has a reason for it. A reason? Amaka asked, confused. Yes. I heard he wants to find a true partner who will love him for who he is and not for his money, Obinna explained. Amaka's heart sank. Was that why he had married her? Did he think she was in love with him because he was poor? She needed answers, and she needed them fast. As they stood there, debating what to do next, the gate suddenly swung open, and Chinedu stepped out. Amaka quickly hid behind a bush, her heart racing. Obinna. What are you doing here? Chinedu's voice boomed. I was just visiting a friend, Obinna stuttered, trying to sound casual. Chinedu raised an eyebrow, clearly not buying it. Make sure to keep away from my affairs. As Chinedu walked away, Amaka and Obinna exchanged worried glances. Amaka's mind raced with questions. I need to find out the truth, she whispered. I'll confront him tonight. Obinna nodded. Be careful, Amaka. He might be more dangerous than he seems. That evening, as they sat in their small house, Amaka felt a mix of fear and determination. When Chinedu returned, she decided it was now or never. Chinedu, I need to talk to you, she said, her voice steady. He looked up, surprise written all over his face. What is it, my love? Amaka took a deep breath, her heart pounding. I saw you at the mansion. I know you're not who you say you are. Are you hiding something from me? Chinedu's expression changed. He leaned back, his eyes narrowing. What do you mean, Amaka? I mean, you are not just a poor man. You are hiding wealth. Who are you really? She pressed, determination burning in her chest. Chinedu was silent for a moment. Then he sighed, looking out of the window. Okay, Amaka. You deserve the truth. But you might not like what you hear. Amaka's heart raced as she waited for Chinedu to continue. The room felt thick with tension, and the flickering lights from the oil lamp cast shadows on the walls. She took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. Amaka, Chinedu began slowly, I didn't tell you the truth because I wanted to see if you would love me for who I am inside and not for my money. My real name is Chinedu Okafor, and I am the son of a very wealthy businessman in Lagos. But I left that life behind. Amaka's mind whirled. A wealthy businessman. The shock made her stomach twist. But why would you pretend to be poor? She asked, her voice trembling. Chinedu stood up and walked to the window, looking out into the night. When my father passed away, my mother and I had a big fight over his wealth. She wanted to take control of everything, but I believed in working hard for what I wanted. I didn't want to inherit a fortune I didn't earn. So, I left home and came here, thinking I would live a simple life. Amaka felt her heart soften. She could understand wanting to prove oneself. But still, she had so many questions. And what about the mansion? The men in suits? Are you still a billionaire? Chinedu turned to face her, his eyes serious. Yes, I still have access to my father's money, but I keep it hidden. I don't want to live like a rich man, I want to know if people love me for who I am. I wanted to see if you would love me as a poor man. Amaka shook her head, confused. But I married you thinking you were poor. What if I said I didn't love you because of your money? Chinedu stepped closer, his expression softening. That's why I'm telling you this now. I fell in love with you, Amaka. Not just because you are beautiful, but because you are kind and hardworking. I wanted to know if you would stay with me for the person I am, not for the riches I have. Amaka felt a mix of emotions. Love, anger, confusion. She wanted to scream, why didn't you just tell me? But instead, she took a step back, her thoughts racing. Then why didn't you tell me all this before we got married? She asked, her voice shaky. Because I was afraid you would leave me. I thought you wanted to marry a rich man, and I didn't want to lose you, he confessed, looking down. But now I feel trapped. I don't know if I love you or if I just love the idea of who you are, Amaka admitted, her voice breaking. Chinedu reached for her hand, but she pulled away. No. You have to give me time to think. I can't process all of this in one night. Feeling overwhelmed, Amaka rushed out of the house into the cool night air. She walked to the riverbank, the gentle sound of water calming her racing heart. As she sat on a rock, she thought about everything Chinedu had said. Was she truly in love with him? Suddenly, she heard footsteps behind her. It was Obina. Amaka. There you are. I was worried, he exclaimed, joining her on the rock. What happened? Amaka explained everything, tears streaming down her cheeks. I don't know what to do, Obina. I don't want to be with a man who lies to me, but I also see how much he loves me. Obina listened carefully, nodding. You need to think about what you truly want. But remember, if he really loves you, he will respect your feelings. Maybe you should give him a chance to prove himself. As Amaka stared at the water, she realized she needed to confront her feelings. But if I decide to stay, how will I know he won't just go back to being the rich man he was? Obina placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. You can ask him to be honest with you moving forward. You deserve to know the truth, always. Just then, Amaka's heart dropped when she noticed a group of men walking toward the river. They looked serious and powerful, and she could see they were heading straight for Chinedu's house. Who are they? She whispered, panic rising in her chest. I don't know, but they look dangerous, Obina replied, his eyes wide. As they watched, the men approached Chinedu's house and began to knock on the door violently. Amaka's heart raced. What do they want? Before Obina could respond, Chinedu appeared at the door. He looked shocked to see them. "What do you want?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. The men shoved him aside and pushed into the house. Amaka could see Chinedu's face pale as he faced the unexpected visitors. "Chinedu Okafor, we need to talk," one of the men said, his voice deep and commanding. "You can't keep hiding from us. Who are you?" Chinedu demanded, his tone growing serious. The leader of the men stepped forward, a smirk on his face. "We are your family's business partners. You have been living like a peasant while we are losing money. It's time for you to take your rightful place." Amaka's heart pounded in her chest as she watched the confrontation unfold. The men were tall and intimidating, and their presence filled the small house with tension. She could see the fear in Chinedu's eyes, and she felt a surge of concern for him. "Take your rightful place," Chinedu repeated, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've made my choice. I don't want to go back to that life." The leader of the men stepped closer, his expression cold. "You think you can just walk away? Your father's empire is crumbling, and we need you to step up. You have responsibilities. This isn't just about you anymore." Amaka exchanged a worried glance with Obina, who was equally alarmed. "What do they want from him?" she whispered. "I think they want him to return to Lagos and take control of the family business," Obina replied, his brows furrowing. "This is serious, Amaka." "Chinedu, listen to them," Amaka called out, stepping forward despite her fear. "Maybe you need to face this. If you're truly a billionaire, you can help people. You can help your family." Chinedu looked at her, his expression torn. "I don't want that life, Amaka. I want to stay here with you, live simply, and love you without the burden of wealth." The men exchanged looks of disbelief, and the leader scoffed. "You think this is about your love story? We are talking about money, Chinedu. Money that you're throwing away while you play house with this village girl." Amaka's heart sank at the harsh words. "I'm not just a village girl. I am Amaka, and I love Chinedu for who he is, not his money," she shouted, her voice strong despite her trembling hands. The leader of the men laughed mockingly. "Love? How can you love a man who refuses to claim his fortune? Wake up. You're just a pawn in this game. If he doesn't step up, you'll both be left with nothing." Chinedu clenched his fist, clearly agitated. "I won't let you bully me. I made my decision to live my life on my own terms. I won't go back." The tension in the room escalated, and Amaka felt like she was trapped in a storm. She looked at the men, realizing they weren't just business partners, they were powerful and could make life very difficult for Chinedu. "Please," Amaka said, her voice softer now. "If you care for your family, Chinedu, maybe it's time to listen to them. You don't have to abandon who you are. You can find a way to balance both." Chinedu ran a hand through his hair, clearly struggling with the weight of the decision. "What if I don't want their world?" he replied, his voice shaky. "What if I want this life with you?" The leader of the men interrupted, his patience wearing thin. "Enough. You have 1 week to decide. If you refuse to join us, you can say goodbye to everything you've hidden here." "You think we won't come after you?" Amaka gasped, her heart racing. "What do you mean?" she asked, fear creeping into her voice. The leader turned to her, his gaze sharp. "You're in danger too, village girl. He may think he can hide, but we will not allow him to waste what belongs to us. You're part of this whether you like it or not." With that, the men turned on their heels and left, leaving behind a heavy silence in the room. Chinedu sank onto the floor, his head in his hands, and Amaka rushed to his side. "What do we do now?" she asked, her heart aching for him. Chinedu looked up at her, his eyes filled with despair. "I don't know, Amaka. I thought I could find peace here, but it seems I can't escape my past." Amaka took his hands in hers, feeling the warmth and strength. We will figure it out together. You don't have to face this alone. But you have to decide what you truly want. Do you want to go back to Lagos? He shook his head slowly. No. I want to stay with you. But what if they hate you? What if they come back? We'll be careful, Amaka replied, her determination rising. You need to stand strong. If they threaten you, we'll go to the village chief. He can help us. Chinedu nodded, a flicker of hope appearing in his eyes. You really believe we can fight them? Yes. Amaka said firmly. We have to stand together. You are more than just your money. You are a good man, and I love you for who you are. Chinedu smiled faintly, and for a moment, the weight of the world felt a little lighter. But as they sat in silence, a sense of dread lingered in the air. They both knew the men wouldn't give up easily. Days passed, and Amaka and Chinedu remained vigilant. They avoided the paths that led to the mansion, but the tension in the village was palpable. Whispers spread, and people began to notice the change in Chinedu's behavior. The villagers wondered why he was acting so differently. One evening, while they were sitting outside under the stars, Amaka noticed a figure watching them from a distance. It was Neka, the village gossip. She had been known for spreading rumors and causing trouble. Chinedu, Amaka whispered, pointing toward Neka. I think she's been watching us. Chinedu tensed, knowing the implications of being seen by Neka. What if she tells everyone about my past? I can't have that. But before they could decide what to do, Neka approached, a sly smile on her face. Well, if it isn't the village princess and her poor prince. How is the life of poverty treating you? Chinedu stood up, his frustration boiling over. What do you want, Neka? She shrugged nonchalantly, but there was a glimmer of mischief in her eyes. Oh, just curious. I heard some interesting news about you, Chinedu. Care to share your secrets with your dear wife? Amaka felt a chill run down her spine. What secrets? Neka leaned closer, her voice low and conspiratorial. I know about the men who came to see you. Word travels fast in this village, you know. And I heard they're not just here to chat. They want you back in Lagos, and if you don't go, well, let's just say it could get messy. Chinedu's expression hardened. Leave us alone, Neka. You don't know what you're talking about? Do I? She replied, a smirk on her lips. I know more than you think. You think you can just hide away here and pretend you're poor? They will find you, Chinedu. And when they do, it won't be pretty. Amaka felt anger rise within her. Why do you enjoy spreading fear? Can't you just leave us be? Neka shrugged, feigning innocence. Just looking out for the village. Someone has to keep you in check, right? The village girl marrying a billionaire. That's the talk of the town. As Neka turned to leave, Chinedu clenched his fist, frustration evident on his face. Amaka felt torn between protecting Chinedu and the fear that their secret would be exposed. What do we do now? She asked, anxiety creeping back into her voice. Chinedu took a deep breath, determination filling his eyes. I won't let them control my life anymore. I need to confront my past and face the truth, Amaka. I'll go back to Lagos, but I won't go alone. Amaka stared at him, her heart racing. You mean you want me to come with you? Of course. You are my partner. We'll face whatever comes together, he said, holding her gaze. But deep down, Amaka felt a sense of foreboding. She had no idea what awaited them in Lagos, but one thing was clear, their journey was only just beginning. Amaka and Chinedu prepared for their journey back to Lagos with mixed feelings of excitement and fear. They packed a small bag with the essentials, a few clothes, food, and the little money they had saved. Amaka could feel the weight of uncertainty pressing down on them, but she also felt a spark of hope. As they arrived in Lagos, the city buzzed with life. The tall buildings and busy streets overwhelmed Amaka. She had never seen anything like it. Chinedu took her hand, squeezing it tightly. "Stay close to me," he said, his voice steady but his eyes betraying his anxiety. They made their way to a neighborhood that felt strangely familiar to Chinedu. "This is where I grew up," he said softly. "I want to show you my father's house." When they reached the mansion, Amaka gasped. It was enormous, with high walls and beautiful gardens. Chinedu hesitated, looking at the entrance. "I'm not sure if they will accept me back." "Just be honest, Chinedu," Amaka encouraged. "You've made your choice. Now it's time to stand by it." Taking a deep breath, Chinedu knocked on the door. To their surprise, a familiar face appeared. It was Aunt Ife, his father's sister. Her eyes widened in shock. "Chinedu, is that really you?" "Aunt Ife, I'm back," he replied, his voice filled with emotion. She pulled him into a tight hug, tears in her eyes. "We've been worried sick. Your mother thought you were lost. Come inside." As they entered, Chinedu noticed the beautiful furniture and family pictures hanging on the walls. Memories flooded back, memories of laughter, love, and the warmth of family. But as they settled into the living room, the atmosphere changed. His mother, Mama Okafor, entered, her expression unreadable. "Chinedu, is it true? You've returned?" she asked, her voice a mix of surprise and disbelief. "Yes, Mama. I'm back, and I'm ready to take my place," Chinedu replied, his heart racing. Mama Okafor's face softened. "You ran away because you wanted to be your own man. But you can't run from family, my son. We need you to help us." Chinedu glanced at Amaka, who gave him an encouraging nod. "I understand, Mama. But I want to do things differently. I want to help people and not just chase after wealth. I have a wife now, and she deserves to know who I really am." Mama Okafor looked at Amaka, her eyes searching. "And what about you, young woman? Are you willing to stand by him, even if it means stepping into a world of wealth and responsibility?" Amaka straightened her back, her heart steady. "I love Chinedu for who he is, not for his money. If he chooses to help others, I will support him. But I need to know that our love is more important than the riches." Aunt Ife smiled, pride shining in her eyes. "Then you are truly the right woman for him. Family is not just about wealth, it's about love and support. Chinedu, you have the chance to make a difference." With that, they spent hours talking, sharing stories, and reconnecting. Chinedu opened up about his time away, the struggles he faced, and how he found happiness in a simple life. His mother listened, her heart swelling with love and understanding. Days turned into weeks, and as Chinedu began to re-establish connection with his family and the business, he focused on using his wealth to help those in need. He started a foundation to support education in rural areas, providing scholarships to children like Amaka who dreamed of a better future. Amaka stood by his side every step of the way, proving that love and support could conquer any challenge. They visited villages, listened to people's stories, and worked to make a real difference. Eventually, Chinedu's past caught up with him. The men who had once threatened him came looking for him, demanding he return to their old ways. But this time, Chinedu stood firm. "You cannot control me anymore," he declared, his voice strong and unwavering. "I am not afraid of you. I will use my wealth to uplift others, and I will not go back to living in fear." The men were shocked by his transformation and quickly retreated, realizing they had underestimated Chinedu's resolve. As Amaka and Chinedu continued their journey, they learned valuable lessons about love, family, and responsibility. They understood that true wealth wasn't just about money but about the love and impact they could create in the world. And so, they lived happily, proving that a simple village girl and a once wealthy man could build a life together based on love, honesty, and the desire to make the world a better place.